Hello and a very warm welcome to the afternoon edition of Rajya Sabha TV News. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor and here are the headlines. Anand Kumar's cremation with the full state honours. Vice President among several leaders who pay last respects to the departed leader. Union Cabinet condoles death at a special meeting. Passes resolution stating nation has lost an experienced leader. Campaigning picks pace for second phase of Chhattisgarh elections. BJP President Amit Shah and Congress President Rahul Gandhi's rallies in the state. Election Commission to review poll preparedness for 28th of November election in Madhya Pradesh. Prime Minister Modi to leave for Singapore today to attend the 13th East Asia Summit to become first head of government to deliver keynote address at the FinTech conference. Prime Minister to also hold talks with US Vice President Mike Pence during his 36-hour visit. The SAW CEO rejects allegations by Congress President Rahul Gandhi on the Rafale deal, says the company chose Reliance by itself, adds it has 30 other partners and that it has been dealing with India since 1953. And Cyclone Gaja may intensify into severe cyclonic storm today. Heavy to very heavy rainfall expected in south coastal Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu and parts of Kerala. Alert in Tamil Nadu, Puducherry and Andhra Pradesh. Rescue personnel on standby. The top story this afternoon, the cremation ceremony of late Union Minister Anand Kumar will take place in a short while from now. His body has been kept at the National College ground in Bengaluru for leaders and public to pay their last respects. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu was among those who paid his last respects to the departed leader. There has been a steady stream of public visiting the ground to get a glimpse of the late leader. Anand Kumar breathed his last early Monday morning at a private hospital following several months of a battle with lung cancer. And earlier today, Anand Kumar's body was taken from his residence to the BJP state headquarters at Jagannath Bhavan. A pall of gloom descended the building as party members and workers paid their homage. State BJP President B.S. Yediyurappa and party's General Secretary in charge of Karnataka Muralidhar Rao were present at the state BJP office. The central government has announced a state funeral for Kumar and a 3-day mourning is being observed in Karnataka. And earlier at his residence, several people from other political parties also paid their last respects. And earlier on Monday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi flew in from Varanasi and drove straight to the residence of Kumar and paid homage to his colleague by placing a wreath on his mortal remains. Prime Minister Modi consoled Kumar's wife, Tejaswini, and his 2 daughters during his 15-minute visit. And the Union Cabinet met this morning to condole the demise of Senior Minister Anand Kumar. It expressed profound sorrow at the passing away of the leader. In a resolution passed at the special meeting, it noted that in his passing away, the nation has lost an experienced leader. The Cabinet met under the chairmanship of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and extended its heartfelt condolences to the bereaved family on the behalf of the government and the entire nation. The Cabinet also observed a 2-minute silence in his memory. Anand Kumar was in the inner circle of the central leadership of the BJP, be it during the heydays of Atal Bihari Vajpayee or L.K. Advani and now Narendra Modi. Let's take a look at his political journey.
Born in a middle-class Brahmin family on July 22, 1959 in Bengaluru to Narayan Shastri, a railway employee, and Girija N. Shastri, Anand Kumar's early education began under the guidance of his mother, who herself was a graduate. A graduate in arts and law, Kumar's journey into public life began due to his association with the Akhil Bharatiya Vidyarthi Parishad, a student organization of the Sangh Parivar, which he served in various capacities, including as the State Secretary and the National Secretary. During his early age, Anand Kumar was imprisoned during protests against the imposition of emergency. With his steady political growth, his association with the Sangh Parivar grew stronger. Anand Kumar joined the Bharatiya Janata Party in 1987, where he went on to take up the responsibilities of State Secretary, State President of the Yuva Morcha, General Secretary and National Secretary. Anand Kumar began his parliamentary career when he got elected to the Lok Sabha in 1996 from Bangalore South, the constituency which remained his strong fort till his passing away. He won it 6 consecutive times. He was among the party leaders who can be credited for the growth of the BJP in Karnataka, paving the way for the installation of the first ever BJP government in the south. He enjoyed the credit of being the youngest minister in the Atal Bihari Vajpayee cabinet in 1998. He served as the Civil Aviation Minister, also the Minister for Tourism, Sports, Youth Affairs and Culture, Urban Development and Poverty Alleviation. Anand Kumar held 2 key portfolios as Union Minister of Chemicals and Fertilizers since May 2014 and as Minister of Parliamentary Affairs since July 2016 until his demise. He is widely credited for implementing neem-coated urea and setting up of Jan Aushadhi Kendras with focus on affordable quality healthcare. In his political career spanning over 3 decades, Anand Kumar handled various portfolios like tourism, urban development, poverty alleviation, sports, and youth and cultural affairs.
Now let's get to all news and updates from assembly elections bound states. First up, news from Chhattisgarh. The first phase of elections to Chhattisgarh concluded on Monday with around 70% voter turnout being recorded. Voting took place in 18, including 10 Maoist-affected constituencies spread across 8 districts yesterday. Polling remained by and large peaceful. 190 candidates were in the fray. Meanwhile, electioneering is on in the full swing for the second and final phase, in which the remaining 72 constituencies will go to polls on the 20th of this month.
We have received the turnout is on an average 70%, and we hope that the turnout would probably match the polling turnout last time or maybe exceed. We'll share you the figures in many districts like Dantewada, in Kanker, in remote areas where there was almost nil turnout. This time there was very enthusiastic participation. A good number of voters came out and they participated.
As campaigning picks pace for the second phase of elections in Chhattisgarh, BJP President Amit Shah is in the state today. He will be in Takhatpur Assembly constituency and will hold a rally at the high school ground there for party candidate Harshita Pandey. Meanwhile, Congress President Rahul Gandhi is on a 2-day election campaign to the state. He is holding a rally in Mahasamund. Meanwhile, the Election Commission will today review poll preparedness in Madhya Pradesh. The Election Commission team will be on a 2-day visit to the state and will conduct a meeting of a Divisional Commissioner, Inspector General of Police, a District Election Officer and Superintendent of Police of 18 districts of Indore, Ujjain and Narmadapuram divisions from 2 p.m. The Election Commission will also conduct meetings with the recognized political parties in Bhopal today. The Commission will review election preparations in the remaining 33 districts on Wednesday. Meanwhile, 415 nomination forms were rejected during the scrutiny yesterday. A total of 4,157 nomination forms were submitted in the state after the election notification. The last date of withdrawal of nominations is tomorrow. Remember, polling will be held for the 230-member assembly on 28th of November. And the filing of nominations for Rajasthan and Telangana Assembly elections began on Monday with the issue of notification. In Rajasthan, 16 candidates have filed 23 nominations on the first day. And the last day for filing of nominations is 19th of this month. The scrutiny of nominations will take place the next day, that is on 20th. And the last day for the withdrawal of nominations is 22nd of this month. The state, remember, is going to polls on the 7th of the next month to elect a new assembly. And in Telangana, 48 nominations were filed on the first day. The last date of nominations is the 19th and scrutiny will take place on the 20th. Single-phase polling for the 119-member assembly takes place on 7th of December. And the Congress party on Monday released its first list of 65 candidates for the 7th of December Telangana Assembly elections. The list was released after a marathon meeting of the party's Central Election Committee, chaired by party president Rahul Gandhi. All the state Congress leaders were present at the meeting in Delhi. State party chief N. Uttam Kumar Reddy will contest from Huzur Nagar constituency. The Congress is seeking to have an electoral understanding on various seats with Chandrababu Naidu's Telugu Desam party, which was an ally of the ruling NDA. The Telugu Desam party also released its first list of 9 candidates for the state polls yesterday. It is, remember, a part of the Grand Alliance for the polls, and the party is expected to contest 14 seats. The Grand Alliance comprises the Congress, the TDP, the CPI and the Telangana Jan Samiti. The total number of assembly segments in the state is 119. News from poll-bound Mizoram, where the scrutiny of nominations were conducted on Monday and 206 out of 212 poll nominations were scrutinized and accepted. The inspection of 6 candidatures from Champhai North constituency bordering Myanmar will be carried out today. And Wednesday is the last day for the withdrawal of nominations. The 40-member Mizoram Assembly is set to go to polls on 28th of November. And as Mizoram gears up to elect its next assembly, all major political parties have released their list of candidates. And upon a closer look, one facet stands out, and that is the extremely low participation of women in electoral politics. Nearly all the parties, except the BJP, have kept women out of their candidate list. Our correspondent, Rajya, tries to find out why women's participation in polling is so low in the state.
Once you are in Mizoram, it's difficult to miss seeing women actively participating in all facets of life, right from running the household to managing agricultural fields to manning businesses. However, there is one sphere where the women of the state are conspicuous by their absence, and that's electoral politics. Glance through the list of candidates put up by various political parties and there will not be many women on them. At a time when the issue of women's empowerment is a highly debated one, it seems the Mizo political circle is yet to accept women in the leadership role. The outgoing assembly has just one woman MLA, Van Lalampui Changthu from the ruling Congress. Changthu was inducted into the state ministry last year, the first woman to get a ministerial berth in the state. This time too, she is a nominee from the Rangturzo seat. But parties like the Mizo National Front, which is a strong contender this time, is not fielding even a single woman candidate.
We are afraid of losing even one seat out of the 40. Therefore, we try to if at all, we have to file a candidate. She has to be, I should say that, eligible so that we have a confidence that she will win. Otherwise, it's too risky out of 46, giving women only for the sake of women. We cannot sacrifice that.
Making an exception, however, is the BJP, which has given tickets to 6 women so far.
We are addressing this time, out of 40, we are going to have 6 women representatives. That is, I think, good, proportionate enough. And all of them are competent.
One will see women taking lead in all the spheres, from the domestic activities to trade and commerce in busy markets of Mizoram. Well, one area where they're lacking is in the political sphere, where there are hardly any women candidate in the upcoming elections. Ironically, this is one issue which is acknowledged by the parties, but very little has been done by them. In Aizawl, with camera person Junaid Iqbal, Rajat Kane for Rajya Sabha TV.
And with that, we'll take a very short break here. We'll be back with more news. Stay tuned.
Tales that inspire. Stories of social change. A salute to diversity. Promoting public discourse. Events that motivate. Inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries.
Welcome back after the break. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will travel to Singapore later today to take part in the East Asia Summit and the India-ASEAN Informal Summit. He will also intervene in the negotiation process of Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership that is in the final leg being concluded.
As ASEAN is an important part of India's Act East policy, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will articulate his vision for further deepening India's relationship with Southeast and East Asian neighbours. On this occasion, he will also meet US Vice President Mike Pence, among other leaders, including Singapore Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong.
Act East policy, we have continued engagement with our eastern neighbours. The ASEAN region, together with India, is actually one of the most dynamic economic spaces today. If you look at it, we have a combined population of 1.9 billion, which is a quarter of the world's population, and the combined GDP of 5 trillion. So India-ASEAN is essentially a very important economic blocking.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address the East Asia Summit on 15th November. On 14th November, Prime Minister Modi will deliver a keynote address at the FinTech Festival, the first head of government to do so. The festival, now in its 3rd edition, is one of the largest events on financial technology and will see participation from Indian companies as well. On the same day, Prime Minister Modi will felicitate the winners and participants of the India-Singapore Hackathon, conducted jointly by the All India Council for Technical Education and Nanyang Technology University of Singapore. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
On to the other big story this afternoon. Dassault Aviation CEO has rubbished allegations levelled by Congress President Rahul Gandhi in connection with the Rafale fighter jets deal between India and France. Now, responding to the allegation, he said that I do not have a reputation of lying. He further added that the first deal with India was struck way back in 1953. He clarified that Dassault itself chose Ambani by itself, adding that it had already 30 partners other than Reliance. He also said that Dassault is not investing the money in Reliance, but in a joint venture that included Dassault. Rahul Gandhi, remember, had alleged that Dassault invested 284 crore rupees in a loss-making company prompted by Anil Ambani, which was used to procure land in Nagpur.
I said we decided to go ahead with the group Reliance. Within the group Reliance, there are brothers, but they still have their mother. They are together the sons of the former lead of the company, Ambani, and it's a big group. So it was totally in line with the family group to go ahead with Reliance. He is right, because if I break the law in my country, I will have to face problems, which is not the case. I mean, I am totally clean in front of the laws of my country. I am French, I live in France, my company has more than 100 years, so we are totally clean in France. We are also totally clean as far as Dassault is concerned in India. So everyone is looking at Dassault for a long time. It has always been the case. So if we would have made something wrong, it would have been known. But I have to answer to this question to the officials of the country. The official of my country, I know them very well. The officials of India is the government of India with their own rules. So everyone from the official asking me question, I will answer to the question. I'm totally transparent.
And Twitter was on Monday pulled up by the government for being slow in removing objectionable or unlawful content, which has allegedly aided the spread of hate messages and rumors inciting violence. The government also warned it of a strict legal action if it failed to comply with the directives of law enforcement agencies. Union Home Secretary Rajya also directed Twitter to ensure a round-the-clock mechanism for prompt disposal of requisitions of law enforcement agencies. The government's stand was conveyed at a meeting held for effective action against objectionable content. News from the south of the country, cyclonic storm Gaja is expected to hit Tamil Nadu coast on 15th of November, bringing heavy rainfall coupled with gale winds. The cyclone is likely to intensify further into a severe cyclonic storm by today. As the Tamil Nadu, Puducherry and Kerala brace for the cyclone, Tamil Nadu government has kept over 30,000 rescue personnel on standby. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister K. Palanisamy chaired a high-level meeting to review the preparedness in the wake of the storm and the forecast of heavy rainfall. Arrangements have been made for food and shelter at relief centres for those living in low-lying areas. Also, the teams of the national and state disaster response forces are ready for deployment. Fishermen have been advised not to venture into the sea. Meanwhile, due to unfavourable Delhi's meteorological conditions, the air quality in the national capital was recorded as severe on Monday. There is no respite to the city dwellers, even with the restricted construction and the directive to not charge toll from heavy vehicles stationed at the Delhi border. The Environment Pollution Control Authority has warned that if the air quality in Delhi continues to deteriorate, then it would impose a complete ban on the use of non-CNG private as well as commercial vehicles. The overall air quality index in the national capital was recorded at 406, which falls in the severe category. Meanwhile, Delhi received light showers today morning as predicted by the Met Department, giving hope for some relief from smog. It also predicted that the minimum temperatures could go down to 15 degrees Celsius by Wednesday. Let's get you all the international news now. First up, news from Yemen, where fighting in the city of Hodeidah appears to have eased slightly in a possible sign of de-escalation between the Saudi UAE-led coalition and Houthi rebels in control of key parts of the strategic port city. The apparent lull in hostilities late on Monday came hours after reports that at least 149 Yemenis, including 7 civilians, were killed in the past 24 hours in the fierce fighting. And earlier on Sunday, Yemeni government forces fired rockets at the Houthi rebels on the outskirts of the Hodeidah, and street battles raged on in residential areas, forcing even the medical staff to flee their largest hospitals. The residents say that both the sides were using mortar shells, anti-aircraft guns and assault rifles in the fight for the Houthi-held city, which is a lifeline for millions of Yemenis. However, Saudi-led coalition spokesperson says that despite battles easing, the offensive on Hodeidah was still on. Meanwhile, Washington has called for a ceasefire amid renewed UN-led peace efforts. And finally, Stan Lee, the creator of Spider-Man, Iron Man, Daredevil, X-Men and many other comics, passed away in Los Angeles. He was 95 years old. A Marvel legend, Lee revolutionized pop culture as the co-creator of iconic superheroes who now dominate the world's movie screens. As a writer and editor, Lee was the key to ascension of Marvel into a comic book titan in the 1960s, when, in collaboration with artists such as Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko, he created superheroes who would enthrall generations of young readers. Lee was widely credited with adding a new layer of complexity and humanity into superheroes. His creations include web-slinging teenager Spider-Man, the muscle-bound Hulk, mutant outsiders, the X-Men, the close-knit Fantastic Four, and the playboy inventor Tony Stark, better known as the Iron Man. And that is the wrap on this edition of Midday News. Up ahead is Khabar Dopaher. Thanks for watching.